to an area.
Start again. Go ahead.
What?
Say it. Start over.
Welcome back to another reel. It's
Not a problem.
not a problem.
Woodworking.
We're working.
And we're doing some plumbing today.
And you see this? That's a hole. And we did this thing. What?
We got to cut out the old valve
We cutting an old valve.
and putting in a new shower valve.
New shower valve.
Yep. I'm going to use that as my intro. Thank you, buddy. All right, here's the new shower valve install. The old one was jamming, getting stuck, the whole 9 yards, and it was like you turn the knob this much and it was still okay and tolerable, and then you tweaked it like a millimeter and it was scalding hot. Clearly something wrong with the valve, so went and put in this new one. Plus it has the replaceable cartridges, whereas the old one was simply a mechanical valve. There was no cartridge replacement available for that one. So that's why we went with the new one. Come along, I'll show you how I did it. It's not woodworking, but still not a problem. Let me show you what I did.
All right, so the first step, because my entire shower enclosure is tile, I had to access this from the back wall. I don't show you in the video, but I took the front shower valve apart and stuck a long drill bit through to mark where it popped through in my living room. Here's the hole after it gets inspected by both my dad twice and my son, and they said, yep, you need to make it a little bit bigger, because as you can see, setting the valve, there would be almost no room to work. So what I decided to do was start prepping all of the pipes that are going to be attached to the valve and solder up what I could prior to assembling it to the valve. I took this down in my shop, was going to start soldering it with the pipe vertical like this, but my dad mentioned, hey, with the flux and the solder, if you do it in this orientation, you run the risk of solder seeping through the joint and down into the threads. So I turned it on its side in hopes that I don't add too much solder and it won't seep down into the threads. So here's me soldering up the first coupler. Mind you, I am not a plumber, right? This definitely takes a bit of skill. And as you can see, as I come in for a close-up view, which I'll show you here in just a minute, when in doubt, solder out is not a good mentality, yet I think that's about what I did, is I just added way too much solder. But you'll see in the end, I didn't have any leaks, and I was able to get the valve installed successfully. And now we don't have that problem when we're taking a shower, running the risk of either A, the valve just not working, or B, burning my skin off. And here you go. So soldering up the first joint, I'm not going to show you all the joints that I soldered, but here's the first one, getting it set up to assemble on the valve and getting the whole thing put together. I'll show you a close-up on, I believe it was my second or third joint. It definitely looks a lot better, but this is the first one.
Did we bring those pliers down? I got a pair of pliers over here. Don't touch it, it's hot. Well, I see just a little bit of flux on, or solder on that side. Hopefully it's... I'm gonna set this on the...
Alright, so here's that close-up view I promised you. As you can see, same thing, have the valve on its side or the pipe on its side, and I'm trying to evenly heat up the outermost jacket and get it so that it will suck in the solder. You can see that little orange stuff right there is the flux. It's not quite bubbly or melting yet, and it's so quick. It's like 1 second it's not hot enough, and the next, boom, it just sucks up the solder. So this was my second attempt, and it came out extremely well. After I did solder up the joints and get them assembled onto the valve, as you can see, I cut the hole a little larger so that I can gain access and actually be able to solder the pipes inside the wall. It's a lot larger of a hole than I wanted to cut, but in order to solder the joints far enough away from the valve so that the heat doesn't melt the Teflon tape, but still is able to join the pipes together, I had to make that hole, as wide as the 2x4s, which they're 16 on center. Actually, my wall was 2x6s, so I had quite a bit of room back there. I believe they were 2x6s, and had to make it taller. Because basically what I did was I cut the pipes even, cleaned them up with sandpaper, and then I just put sleeves, couplers. I did have to cut the cement board and the tile a little bit larger because the new valve that I got, because it's a cartridge style, it wouldn't fit through the small opening, the original opening of the old style valve. But after doing a little bit of trimming, a little bit of tile cutting, and I didn't go much. I only went about 1/4 inch on the top and 1/4 inch on one side, and the valve fit in there perfectly. So as you can see, we got the valve. I believe this is the dry fit section. We dry fit it, make sure it worked. And then, no, I'm sorry, this is actually after we soldered it in. So right now I'm talking to my dad downstairs, and we are checking for leaks. And fortunate for me, I didn't have any. And the valve sat extremely well, flush to the shower, and we no longer had any problems. Here you see I ended up putting the backer board already in and screwed the valve to it from the holes through the tile, and this is just me securing it from the back side. I ended up just cutting a 2x4 the width of the opening and throwing a couple of pocket holes in there, and this worked out perfect.
Gee, look at it.
What?
I said, look at that. Ain't going anywhere.
Almost like we know what we're doing.
Almost.
Almost. All right, shouldn't have any more vibration now.